Welcome to Live Interactive English. Hello, everybody. I am Shane.
And I am Karen. Today, we are looking at day 1 of our story called David and Goliath. And this is actually a famous story, right?
It's a famous story which has a moral to the story, which we are going to read about. Now, a moral just means something that you learn, like a lesson that is learned after you read the story.
That's right.
So it's not just simply a story, it's a story to kind of teach you and make you more wise or intelligent. So can you think of any stories that are like that?
That also has a moral
That
to
have
it?
a moral to the story?
Well, the Little Red Riding Hood has a moral to it.
Oh, Little Red Riding Hood, yeah.
Right, because we're not supposed to talk to strangers.
Stranger danger!
That's right.
Stranger danger!
You gotta be careful.
Oh,
right?
Okay. I was thinking of one like the tortoise and the hare.
Oh, that's a classic one too. The tortoise and the hare. So what is the moral of that story?
Well, the tortoise wins the race by just going slow and steady, and the hare or rabbit goes very fast, and he thinks he can just take a nap and relax and whatever, and he doesn't take it very seriously because he's like, I'm obviously so much faster than a turtle. And in the end, a turtle wins the race. So
that's right.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly. So I wonder what the moral of David and Goliath is.
Well, let's get into it and find out.
All right.
Long ago, the Israelites and the Philistines were about to go to war. Both armies watched each other across a narrow valley as they prepared for battle. But even before any blood was spilled, the Israelites were already losing heart. That's because the Philistines had Goliath. Goliath was a giant of a man who stood nearly 3 meters tall. His presence alone made even the bravest Israelites shake with fear. Every morning, Goliath would stand on the Philistines' side of the valley, shouting insults and challenging the Israelite soldiers to fight him. Not a single man dared to step forward.
So we're looking at day 1 of our famous story, David and Goliath.
Right, this comes from the Bible.
That's right.
Right? The Western Bible, yes. So let's begin the story. Long ago, the Israelites and the Philistines were about to go to war. Both armies watched each other across a narrow valley as they prepared for battle. Okay, so there's a couple of armies. They're going to fight. They're watching each other, so it must be a very tense moment.
Of course, because they are at war, right?
Yeah, and they haven't started fighting yet, but they're about to.
That's right, they're prepared for battle.
Ooh,
they're getting ready to fight.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's continue. But even before any blood was spilled, the Israelites were already losing heart. That's because the Philistines had Goliath. So before any blood was spilled, that means before they were started the fight and people got killed, right?
Right.
Before any of that happened. So the Israelites were already losing heart. So losing heart meaning they're losing their confidence, right?
If you're losing heart, you're losing your confidence. You don't believe in yourself. Yeah, okay. So that's losing heart.
That's right.
How about spill?
Okay.
Spill. There's before any blood was spilled. What does this mean, spill?
Well, that is a verb. It means to cause to flow, move, fall, or spread over the edge or outside the limits of something. For example, you can say, be careful not to spill paint on the floor.
I see. So the blood would be spilled out of the content of the body.
Exactly.
Because there's blood inside the body. So what they're saying is before anybody started getting injured or hurt, And no, there was no blood yet, so even before blood was spilled, they were already starting to lose their confidence. Right?
Exactly.
Okay, so why don't we go to Hanny and we'll be right back.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这一次要读的是出自旧约圣经的故事 David and Goliath， 大卫与歌利亚。那么故事一开始提到，在很久以前，以色列人和非利士人即将开战。那么两军隔着狭窄的山谷相望，为战斗做准备。不过呢，都还没有开战流血，以色列人就已经灰心丧志，因为非利士人有歌利亚。好，来看 lose heart， 在这边它是表达灰心丧志、失去信心。那么单字 spill 它可以表达使溅出或是洒出，是个动词。spill blood 见血，它就有那种伤人或者是杀人、制造流血事件的意思。那我们接着回到课文中。
Okay, continuing the story. Goliath was a giant of a man who stood nearly 3 meters tall.
Wow.
His presence alone made even the bravest Israelites shake with fear. So no wonder the Israelites were scared already because they have to deal with the Philistines' big giant, basically, Goliath. I mean, that's pretty scary. So we have this vocabulary word presence. Now, presence means being somewhere or being with somebody. So just being in his presence, with him being there alone, just by him being there, they were scared. They shook with fear. So an example sentence for presence would be, my dog's presence helped me calm down.
So that means my dog helped me calm down just by being beside me.
Just by being there.
Ah, okay. And now let's continue. Every morning, Goliath would stand on the Philistine side of the valley, shouting insults and challenging the Israelite soldiers to fight him. Not a single man dared to step forward. Okay, well, Goliath does not seem like a very nice guy at all. Well, they are at war, but every day he'll be standing there shouting insults, saying things that make them feel terrible about themselves, and challenging them.
Terrified.
Exactly.
Because he is a giant of a man. Right.
And not a single man dared to step forward. So what does it mean when I say dare? So that's a verb. To dare means to challenge someone to do something, especially something risky or dangerous. It can also mean to have enough courage to do something. So that means no one had the courage to step forward and face Goliath. An example sentence would be, Jack didn't dare to ask for his mother's opinion because maybe he's so scared of his mother, right? So he didn't dare.
He didn't dare. He's too scared to, basically, right?
Exactly.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and go to Hanny?
歌利亚是个身高将近3公尺的巨人，光是他的存在就足以让最勇敢的以色列人吓到发抖。每天早上，歌利亚会站在非利士这一头的山谷，对以色列士兵大声叫骂，要他们出来跟他对战，但是没有一个人敢挺身而出。好，那么单字 presence 这个名词它表示存在、出现或是有出席的意思。dare 是动词，表示胆敢、敢于。我们常常会有dare to 加原形动词去表达胆敢做某事。那这边还有2个重点。第一个重点是 make 加受词加原形动词的不同意思。首先呢，可以表达使得、导致怎么样，那不带有强迫的语气。例如 dancing makes me feel relaxed， 跳舞使我感到放松。第二个可以表达迫使、要求怎么样怎么样，这时候是带有强迫的意思。例如 The teacher made him stay after school， 老师要他放学后留下来。那么第二个重点是分词构句的用法。 连接词 and 在连接两个子句，主词相同时，可以省略连接词跟其中一句的主词，然后把它之后的动词改分词。主动的时候改为现在分词 V-I-N-G， 被动的时候把 be 动词改为 being， 然后可以再省略哦，那就只保留后方的过去分词 PP。好，那我们造个例句。She was moved by the story, and she decided to adapt it into a movie. 这个前后子句的主词都是 she。我们省略前半句的主词还有连接词 and， 然后呢，把主词后方的 be 动词 was 改成 being 可以再省略，那就只留下过去分词 move， 所以句子就简化成了 moved by the story. She decided to adapt it into a movie. 受到那个故事感动，她决定将它改编成电影。好，那我们接着回到课文中。Okay, well, from the first part, we learned that, they are at war, but Philistines, they've got Goliath, and he is a giant. That means someone that is very, very big in size, and everyone is scared of him.
Yeah, so the Israelites right now, at this point, are in great fear of starting this war. Okay, let's go to the second part of the story, and we'll be right back after this break.
All right.
One day, David, a young Israelite shepherd, brought food to his brothers at the soldiers' camp. When he heard Goliath's calls, it sparked something in him. He couldn't bear to see his people or his God insulted, so he offered to fight the giant. David was given armor and a sword, but he shook his head. He chose to wear his shepherd's clothes and use his sling instead. He often used it to protect his sheep from lions and bears.
Welcome back, everyone. So before the break, we were looking at the story of David and Goliath. Now we know that Israelites and the Philistines were about to go to war. But the Israelites were really scared. They were terrified of the Philistines because they've got Goliath, who is a giant. And he's, 3 meters tall?
Yeah, that's humongous.
Exactly. And everyone is so scared because of his size, and every day he'll be shouting insults and try to challenge the Israelite soldiers. So I think maybe they're going to lose because, the Philistines got Goliath.
I don't know. Well, let's find out what happens, because maybe the Israelites have a trick up their sleeve.
Maybe they also have a giant as well.
Well, let's find out. Okay.
All right.
One day, David, a young Israelite shepherd, brought food to his brothers at the soldiers' camp. Okay, so we have a young man. He's a shepherd. Now, a shepherd is a person who takes care of sheep. So, for example, you could say the shepherd spent all night watching his sheep. Okay, so this little shepherd boy would bring the soldiers food and stuff to the camp.
Okay, so he's not a soldier himself, right?
This is just a shepherd.
Okay, now, when he heard Goliath's calls, it sparked something in him. He couldn't bear to see his people or his God insulted. So he offered to fight the giant. Wow. So instead that when he heard Goliath's calls, maybe like when he's shouting insults and then trying to challenge the Israelites. And then it says that it sparked something in him. So to spark something, the verb sparked means to cause something to start, especially suddenly, or to ignite something like enthusiasm or interest. It's like, okay, I can't let him treat my people like this. I have to do something about it.
And my God.
Exactly.
Right? So it's not just about the people here. This is a biblical story. So it's also about their God being insulted.
And David was not going to take that.
No.
So an example sentence for sparked would be, the new project sparked a lot of excitement among the team. That means it made the whole team very, very excited.
Enthusiastic.
Wow. Exactly. It started something in them. Okay, well, let's go to Hanny first and we'll be right back. 刚刚说歌利亚是一个身高将近3公尺的巨人，那么 Shane 老师用到 humongous 来描述，它是拼作 humongous，humongous 它是形容极大的、巨大无比的。老师还有说一句 ，Maybe the Israelites have a trick up their sleeve， 也许以色列人有暗藏诡计。那么 have something up one's sleeve， 字面意思是在袖中藏有什么什么，引申指就是暗藏着什么什么。那么故事接着提到，有一天，一个年轻的以色列牧羊人大卫替他在军营里面的哥哥们送食物。当他听到歌利亚的叫嚣时，他心中燃起了某一种情绪。他没办法忍受看到他的族人或他的上帝受辱，于是呢，就主动提出要跟巨人搏斗。好，那么在讲到上帝的时候 ，Shane 老师提到 biblical 就是形容圣经中的或者是有关圣经的。那么课文单字 shepherd。它是指牧羊人 ，spark 当动词表示引发、激起，像是激起什么样的情感。这时候 Karen 老师有用到 ignite 这个动词 ，ignite 表示点燃或是激起。好，那这边还有一个重点是 see 当感官动词，它是指看到。那么受词后面接的补语有3种形式。第一种，我们用 see。加受词加原形动词，这是强调过程或事实。例如 Did you see him take the money？ 你有看到他把钱拿走吗？第二个用法是 see 加受词加现在分词 VING， 这是强调动作正在进行。例如 We saw a man running after a car， 我们看到一名男子正追着一辆汽车。那么第三个用法是 see 加受词加过去分词 PP， 这是表达受词的被动状态。例如 She saw a cat trapped in a cage， 她看到一只猫被困在笼子里了。好，那我们接着回到课文中。
Okay, continuing the story. David was given armor and a sword, but he shook his head. Now, a sword means a long, sharp weapon that people used a long time ago to fight or protect themselves. So, for example, the old sword was once used in many battles. Okay, so what does he do?
Well, let's continue and find out. He chose to wear his shepherd's clothes and use his sling instead. He often used it to protect his sheep from lions and bears. Wow, so David must be very, very brave because he said no to the sword and the armor. The armor is something that you wear to protect your body from being harmed. But he said he doesn't need that. He just needs his regular clothes and his sling.
Yeah, so sling is just something like it's also like an ancient weapon, but not a very like powerful weapon like a sword. And you can maybe put a rock inside there and you swing it around and then you release the rock and the rock will go flying at somebody. So he must be pretty good with it because he's used it before to protect his sheep from lions and bears. Okay, let's go to Hanny and we'll be right back.
大卫主动提出要跟巨人搏斗，那有人给他盔甲和一把剑，但他摇摇头，他反而选择穿自己牧羊人的衣服，用自己的投石锁。他常常用投石锁来保护羊群免受狮子和熊的侵害。好，那么单字 sword 就是指剑或是刀， armor 是盔甲， sling 这个字则表示投石锁或者是弹弓。好，那我们接着回到课文中。
All right, so he does seem like a pretty brave young man. He's just a kid.
And he's not even a soldier.
He's just a shepherd boy.
He's not trained, right?
Yeah, but something got sparked in him and he's just ready to go face Goliath.
Exactly, but just with a sling. Do you think he's going to defeat Goliath? I mean, that sounds, impossible.
Yeah, sounds pretty impossible. Okay, let's review the story again, and we'll see you in part 2.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Long ago, the Israelites and the Philistines were about to go to war. Both armies watched each other across a narrow valley as they prepared for battle. But even before any blood was spilled, the Israelites were already losing heart. That's because the Philistines had Goliath. Goliath was a giant of a man who stood nearly 3 meters tall. His presence alone made even the bravest Israelites shake with fear. Every morning, Goliath would stand on the Philistines' side of the valley, shouting insults and challenging the Israelite soldiers to fight him. Not a single man dared to step forward. One day, David, a young Israelite shepherd, brought food to his brothers at the soldiers' camp. When he heard Goliath's calls, it sparked something in him. He couldn't bear to see his people or his God insulted, so he offered to fight the giant. David was given armor and a sword, but he shook his head. He chose to wear his shepherd's clothes and use his sling instead. He often used it to protect his sheep from lions and bears.
最后我们来复习今天课文里的单字文法。单字的部分有 spill 动词表示使溅出、洒出。下一个单字 presence 名词表示存在、出现、出席。dare 动词它表示胆敢、敢于。Shepherd 是名词，表示牧羊人。那么 sword 是名词，表示剑或刀。文法的部分，我们第一个学到 make 加受词加原形动词的不同意思。那首先呢，它可以表达使得、导致怎么样，不带有强迫语气。那么它还可以表达迫使、要求，这时候就带有强迫的意思。第二个，我们学到分词构句的用法。连接词 and 在连接两个子句主词相同时，可以省略连接词以及其中一句的主词，然后把之后的动词改为分词。好，那么第三个学到的是 see 做感官动词表示看到，受词后面接的补语有3种形式。那第一种 see 加受词加原形动词是强调过程或事实。第二种 see 加受词加 VING 是强调动作正在进行。第三种 see 加受词加 PP 是表示受词的被动状态。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
When I hear the adjective must eat, my stomach will automatically start to growl because that means there is food that is super delicious and must be eaten. We are going to introduce a historical location today that is full of must-eat dishes, and it is known as Jinshan Old Street. Jinbali Street was once the center of business in the Qing dynasty. Now it is called Jinshan Old Street. It is a very popular place for tourists in New Taipei City. The street is filled with delicious food and great souvenirs. There is a must-eat duck restaurant in front of the temple. Jinshan Old Street is also famous for its frozen desserts and handmade egg rolls. Don't forget to pick up a souvenir for your friends and family after eating. There's so much to do and experience when visiting Jinshan Old Street. When you get the chance to visit, don't forget to bring some money because you're guaranteed to find something you'd want to eat or buy as you stroll along this wonderful street. My mouth is watering just thinking about all that must-eat food. I'll see you there.